Good evening. It is my pleasure this evening as Superintendent of Schools to present to you the recommended FY 2018 budget. Last month, we discussed preliminary numbers, and we're anxiously awaiting more finite numbers from Governor Baker, and he did release those at the end of January, and that's allowed us to make significant progress on the FY 2018 budget. Before I present some additional information this evening, I would absolutely like to recognize Mr. Mead and his administrative team, which includes all the department chairs at Algonquin, and all of central office, Marie Allen, Leo Brem, Cheryl Levesque, Greg Martineau, for participating in this process, and as well, certainly the school committee for being supportive of our work. So we always begin, this statement grounds us in all of the work that we do, certainly in the budget preparation, and what you see before you is our statement of vision and mission, which is very much embedded in our strategic plan, Vision 2020. Each year, we begin the budget process, well, actually, as of July 1, when we're starting to expend the current year, we are also beginning to think about what that budget process will look like for the upcoming fiscal year. And we start early on in September with the school committee reviewing and revising budget priorities for the next fiscal school year. We meet with the operational budget subcommittee and the audit subcommittee a number of times throughout this process, and in fact, as recently as this past Monday, we met with the audit subcommittee and also the operational budget subcommittee. We move through each and every month, and we are here in March this evening to present the recommended budget, and very shortly we will be meeting with Northborough Appropriations and also Southborough Financial Advisory to also present the recommended budget to them as well. We're moving forward, and hopefully, and I'm sure once you see the budget this evening, you'll agree that this is a very strong budget that's both educationally sound and fiscally responsible for our students in our community. The town meeting in Northborough this year is Monday, April 24th, and a little bit of change of date. The Southborough town meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 25th. We move forward with our budget priorities that I referred to, and I'm pleased to suggest and to share with you that each of these budget priorities, as identified by the Regional School Committee, have been addressed and are present throughout the FY 2018 budget. In this case, one of our goals is always to maintain high-quality staff, instructional programming, and instructional resources. The second budget priority for the FY 2018 budget is to strive to achieve class sizes within the range of our school committee class size policy, and certainly to prepare all of our students for high-stakes testing. And at this level, the high school level, there are certainly many high-stakes tests and assessments that our students participate in. To fund the initiatives of the school improvement plan, which is tied to our strategic plan, to continue to make progress meeting our educational technology goals in the district that are also supported by our technology implementation plan, and to create and fund a short and long-term capital plan for the high school, which Mike Gorman, our facilities director, is very much involved in that process as well. We did vote a capital plan earlier this year. Some of the recommended budget impacts this year. First, I'd like to state that the FY 2018 recommended budget reflects a maintenance budget with sustained incremental growth in targeted areas, and we'll identify those as we move forward. So our budget reflects a maintenance of the services and the opportunities that our students currently are afforded, as well as our class size and all of our course offerings. We have seen in this budget some incremental growth in targeted areas, and those targeted areas are identified below. This year, in preparation for next year, we do and we have realized an increase in our student support services and related costs. In this case, it's our out-of-district tuition for special education students and related transportation, but also, if you had an opportunity to view our January school committee, you might have had a chance to listen to Rhoda Webb, our English language learner director, identify a growing population of students who are part of the Algonquin community that actually have limited English proficiency. I think we have, Mr. Mead, I think we identified almost 20 languages spoken here at the high school. And many of these students, English is not their first language. We are under federal mandates in terms of how many hours we provide programming and support for our students who are ELL students. And in 4 years, our population has grown 200%. Those numbers more specifically are 24 students to 50 students this year. So we are, in fact, meeting the needs of all of our students, and this budget reflects the need to meet their hours for support as well. Last year, we introduced a 5-year plan to address our instructional resources, to either purchase new resources or to replenish those that we have. And we're also seeing a greater migration to digital resources rather than the textbooks, the tangible textbooks. And so that's really helped our costs overall, because the digital resource cost factor is less than what we're all familiar with as the textbooks. So we did see year 2 of this in our 5-year plan, and that is reflected in our FY 2018 budget. Much of the purchasing for instructional resources has been offset, not in the operational budget, but with revolving funds that we had available through lost books and things of that sort. Contractual obligations, this year was a negotiation year. At the high school, we have 3 associations, and we are continuing to negotiate with 2 of those, and there is an impact to this year's budget. It's a negotiation agreement for the next 3 years, beginning in FY 2018. And the big factor for regional school districts are operational fixed costs. Because we are a regional school district, the Commonwealth looks upon us as if we were a town, and that means within our budget we carry certain expenditures that are unique to towns, such as health care costs, liability insurance, workman's comp, Medicare, and things of that sort, which basically are fixed costs, and while they support our teachers, are not necessarily costs that are incurred in the classroom setting. With that said, in FY 2017, our appropriated budget was $21,487,925. This evening's presentation includes a recommended budget of $22,304,466, an increase of $816,541, which results in an incremental increase over FY 2017 of 3.8. A little snapshot in terms of what that $22,466 breakdown of the budget is in terms of fund code areas. You'll notice on the bottom, but more so you'll notice this large green section of that budget. That represents teaching salaries, instructional salaries, because this is of the whole budget, the larger budget. And so you'll notice the fund codes below, and that's just a snapshot of the disaggregation of the total budget. As we move forward, this is a snapshot of how that increase, the incremental increase, is realized by fund code. I mentioned earlier that fixed costs is a significant percent or a part of our operational budget. In this case, the increase in fixed costs like health insurance and those kinds of expenditures that are normally part of a town's budget represents a 27% increase of the, or a 27% total of the $816,541 increase. And the red is 50% of that total, which is contractual obligations. Looking at this in a different way, ordinarily we pull out the pieces of the pie, but in this case, it's 3 big pieces. And that breakdown is contractual obligations and fixed costs. All the other fund code areas that you notice here, teaching and learning, technology, tuition, transportation, teaching and learning materials, maintenance, are encapsulated in that 22.28% increase. So that is just a snapshot of the overall increase. We do have some budget offsets. We talk about impacts that may increase the cost. What we have here are some offsets that, in fact, help us reduce the cost of the budget. In this case, we are looking at an administrative reorganization, which has actually created a decrease in the total FY 2017 budget moving forward. We are expanding our student international exchange program. We did mention and celebrated this past year that we launched a relationship with an organization to expand our international student population here, but also to provide students an opportunity to become part of the Algonquin family. These students are tuitioned in, and that those funds become accessible to the regional school as part of the operational budget. The reduced budget line items, we took a look at each budget line item, and in many cases, as you look through the budget, the line item budget, you'll notice that we've reduced and or level funded a significant number of line items in the FY 2017 budget. We continue to develop in-house programs through Student Support Services, which allows us to keep our students in-house where we like them to be because they are part of our Algonquin family, but also the secondary benefit is because they're with us, we're not incurring additional out-of-district tuition costs. We are engaged in collaborative purchasing, so we do take advantage in joining our neighboring districts and finding reduced costs through that collaborative purchasing, mostly through the Assabet Valley Collaborative. We are engaged in a solar feasibility study, and we are very optimistic that when that is fully launched, we will be able to realize some cost benefit to offset perhaps our utility costs moving forward. And we continue to explore healthcare options. We're involved in conversations with both the community of Southborough and Northborough, looking at ways that we can drive an ever-increasing and rising healthcare costs down. So here are some things that we're looking forward to as we expend the FY 2018 budget and prepare for other fiscal years. The historical enrollment percentages, this is something that we track, and it becomes very important as we look at how we calculate assessments to our regional towns. And we'll notice that there was a slight shift, a 0.5 shift just to Southborough. This reflects the disaggregation of the enrollments as of October 1, 2016. So 58.26% of our 1446 population are from Northborough and 41.74% from Southborough. We also receive a little help from the state and occasionally from the federal government to offset the total budget cost. And this year, I mentioned earlier that we were waiting for the governor to release his Chapter 70 aids to cities and towns. There was a slight increase. I think it was $20 a student or something like that this year. I'm pretty sure that was the amount. So that is aid that comes to us from the state. We also receive regional transportation reimbursement, and that helps drive this cost factor down $674,995. There was 2 years ago a special transportation payment to regional cities and towns that was hoped to be something that we saw every year. We saw it 2 years ago and haven't seen it since. And actually this money needs to be expended in this fiscal year or in the FY 2018 budget. And that's a offset to the total budget, $204,878, and then an additional $20,000 in miscellaneous income. That is a reduction off of the total budget of $3,963,417, which means after the budget offsets, it leaves an $18,341,000 $49 balance. From there, we look at what is the state? What does the state tell us about the expected minimum local contribution from each of our sending districts? And here you see both numbers. This is, and it does fluctuate from year to year. It's a variable that very much is needed for us to present a recommended budget from year to year, and on occasion that number changes after we vote the budget, and we make adjustments accordingly. But this year, this is the minimum local contribution for Northborough and for Southborough. So with all of that added and subtracted from the budget after we receive the aid from the state, we have a remaining amount of $5,685,528. That amount then is apportioned based on the percentage of enrollment. There are those numbers again that we just took a look at. And we take the balance and multiply that by the amount, the percentage amount, which is reflective of the enrollment. And we apportion that by the regional school agreement and add back in the minimum local contribution. This year, we are contributing towards this budget, to bring this budget down as assessment to the towns, $500,000 out of excess and deficiency, much like a town that's allowed to have a free cash account because the regional district is treated as a town. Our free cash equivalent is excess and deficiency. We appreciate our responsibility, and always in collaboration with the town, we work to bring down the costs to the citizens as much as we possibly can in this budget process. So in addition to coming in at a reasonable percent of increase given our cost factors, we have an appropriation, again taking that enrollment percentage, multiplying that by 500,000, and Northborough's portion of that is $291,300. Southborough's portion is $208,700. Subtracting that out and taking the actual monetary difference between 17 and the incremental increase in the FY 2018 budget, you'll see that the increase in dollars in the assessments are $343,218 for Northborough and $344,184 for Southborough. That effectively results in a 3.41% increase on the assessment, not the budget, and a 4.86% on the assessment for Southborough. How do those numbers compare with previous years? It's a little history. If we're trying to find a formula to calculate these, if you do find that, bring it forward. A lot of people would like to know what that is. And I say that based on just simple fluctuations. And all of that is due in part to those numbers that we wait for from the governor, those minimum local contribution numbers, and then what percent of our student population is coming from Northborough and Southborough. So in 2018, our budget is 3.8. Our enrollment is 1446 projected. Northborough's assessment on a 3.8% budget is 3.41, and Southborough's assessment is a 4.86. And that is the FY 2018 budget. And as always, we thank our communities for your continued support of public education in the communities of Northborough and Southborough here at Algonquin Regional. Thank you.